WWE 2K26 on the Nintendo Switch 2 is gonna be the game changer when it comes to sports games on the Nintendo Switch 2. You might remember when WWE 2K25 launched on the Switch 2, it was met with a lot of fanfare because it seemed to have pretty much everything from the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series versions. It had all of the Generation 9 content, unlike the last gen versions of the game. However, it was missing a few features that people loved, like the image uploader. That notwithstanding though, the game was still a critical success. I made a bunch of gameplay videos on it with me playing it on the Switch 2. Those videos did well and people just loved the game despite the fact that it was missing some minor things like the image uploader, and it was also missing battle damage. You know how after a while in a match, the more of a beating that you take, the more your body gets damaged. So you can see all of this bruising. That was a feature that was not included in the Switch 2 version of 2K25. It was still a near perfect port though, and so because of how good WWE 2K25 was on the Nintendo Switch 2, we all kind of just expected it to be the case that games like NBA 2K26 and Madden 26 were also going to be near flawless ports, but then reality struck. NBA 2K, FC 26, and Madden all ran at 30 frames per second on the Nintendo Switch 2, which was a surprise. If you're like me, it's not the biggest deal for a game to run at 30 frames because I don't play sports games online. However, if you do play these games online, then sub 60 frames is kind of a problem because it means that you're actually missing a lot of what's actually happening in the game. I always figured the Nintendo Switch 2 had the ability to run these games at 60 frames, but for whatever reason, the developers decided to release these games at 30 frames. I think what happened is that since Nintendo was kind of stingy with the dev kits, a lot of these companies just didn't really have the time to master Switch 2 development. But they were still able to produce games that were still very high quality, but just maybe not as high quality as they could have been. Because no one can sit there and tell you that Madden 26 or NBA 26 or FC were bad games on the Switch 2. People still love them, but now 2K and these other developers have had quite a while to work with the Switch 2 dev kits, so the next iterations of these games are probably really going to show us what the Switch 2 is capable of when it comes to sports games. I think WWE 2K26 for the Nintendo Switch 2 is probably going to mark that turning point. Over on Nintendo Everything, they talked about 2K and Visual Concepts 2K26 announcement, but the part that's most relevant to us is all the way at the bottom here, where they talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 version specifically, so let's take a look at that. It goes on to read, for Nintendo Switch 2 specifically, 2K has confirmed a few features. The game will offer touchscreen and mouse support, game share and game chat, support for single Joy-Con gameplay, and the ability to use mouse controls in Creation Suite for face and body painting. Additionally, and this is the biggie, the image uploader and cross-platform community creations will be available in this version. So let me say that again, the image uploader and cross-platform community creations will be in the Nintendo Switch 2 version of WWE 2K26. That was the big thing that everyone was complaining about with 2K25, but it seems like going forward with WWE 2K games, they're going to be feature complete, standing alongside the PlayStation 5 and Xbox versions. Using the mouse controls for the face and body painting features, you know, that's something that I'm definitely gonna have to test out, and I'll probably do a whole video on just that when I get the game, so that you can see exactly how well or how not so well it plays. But it seems like since 2K and the dev team now are more familiar with the Switch 2's architecture, it should be interesting to see how the next iterations of Madden and the NBA 2K game and the other sports games as well, how they do, since these companies should also now be more familiar with how the Switch 2 works. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these changes. Do you like them? Do you hate them? And if you hate them, why? I don't see how anybody could hate this, but you know how Nintendo haters are, they always gotta find something to hate. Hit the like button to support the channel, leave a comment down below to let the algorithm know you want more. I'm Switchplayed, done.